Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, good morning.
Well, I got an announcement to make. I tweaked my ankle over the weekend, and I don't think I can make it through the show. I got an excuse for the rest of the show, so you got me, Shannon.
Oh.
I got a bad ankle,
So
like
that's-
somebody else I know who's going to be making excuses through the whole playoffs.
So that's why you...
It's not 100%.
I'm just making sure, so that's why you're out the last 2 days?
Yep.
Okay. all
Tweaked
right.
ankle.
I had ankle injury.
It all makes sense. It all makes sense. Oh,
Okay.
interesting. Interesting. You guys are fired up about LeBron over there because we do need to begin by discussing the Lakers. Despite ending the regular season on a 5-game winning streak, the Lakers will face the Warriors in the play-in tournament tomorrow. Lakers fans, like Skip mentioned, had, that brief scare in the fourth quarter of Sunday's win over the Pelicans when LeBron appeared to re-injure his right ankle and was slow to get up. But after the game, LeBron said, quote, "It was a tweak. I stepped on Nickeil Alexander-Walker's foot on the way down after the last layup, but I'll be fine." So, Shannon, any problem with LeBron still in the game that late, and how will it affect them moving forward right now?
No, hell, I wish AD and Drummond was in the game as late as LeBron was because they need time and Skip. LeBron has only played, 2 games in the last couple of weeks. He missed almost 8 weeks of the regular season. They need repetitions together because, like you said, LeBron hasn't played with a guy like Drummond that's going to be on the court for that length of time in a very long time. And they got a nice relationship, Skip. If you notice, his main high pick and roll guy now is Andre Drummond.
Big penguin.
Big drum.
Yeah.
And you see we getting double-digit rebounds, offensive rebounds. Yeah, you saw
Look
that.
out. League. Here they
Yes,
come.
yeah. I'm glad you noticed that. I'm glad you noticed that. I
Yeah.
have to bring it to your attention. Skip, he needs repetition. And that's the thing that you worry about, Skip, if you're going into the playoffs, or if you have an injury, is that you worry about re-injuring it in a freak incident. And that's what it was. It was a freak incident where he laid the ball up and came down on the guy's foot. And we see that happens a lot in basketball. Guys jump, and guys, you land on the guy's foot, and sometimes it's more severe than others. And that's what happened in that situation. But I do not have a problem with LeBron being in the basketball game for the simple fact he needs repetitions. He has not played in an extremely long time. It's only his second game back in 2 weeks. He's only played 4 games in 8 weeks. So the thing that LeBron needs is to knock the rust off by playing, and that's what he did. Try to get his win back. They're doing a great job, Skip. I think he played, 27, 28 minutes? He hadn't played a whole lot. Knowing come playoff time, Skip, you're not on a minutes restriction because the thing about this game here, Skip, and that's what makes football football different than basketball. Every football playoff game, Skip, is a game 7. In this situation now, it's a little bit different. You win this game, Skip, you go to the 7th spot. You lose this game, you wait for the win of the 9-10, and then you have who's going to win for the 8th spot. So I get all that, Skip, but LeBron James needed the repetition. Hell, like I said earlier, I wish AD and Drum was in there with him, getting their reps together, because we're going to need those 3 big guys to play really, really well, especially against Steph Curry that's shooting the ball extremely well. But I don't have a problem with him playing. I wish he could have played a little bit more, hadn't tweaked his ankle, and could have got 3 or 4 more minutes. So I don't want to hear you talk about he should have been playing.
Okay, and going forward, you think it will be X factor. What will the factor be?
The thing, hopefully, Skip, he doesn't re-injure it. It looks to me, Skip, he's about 85%. He picks his spots where he could, just turn it on. You see a couple of those steals, Skip, he shoots the gap, he can get there. And then other times, you're like, nah, maybe next time. And so there are spots that he can be LeBron that we remember, and then there are other times you're like, yeah, it's still a factor. But I believe if he doesn't re-injure it, I believe that he'll just get better and better and better, and we'll see how it plays out.
Okay, my turn. I'm going to ask once more on this show, across from you, Shannon Sharpe.
Yeah.
How does LeBron James keep getting a pass for things that were completely within his control? That was his choice to stay that late in that game. And it's like those billions of blind witnesses out there, it's hear no evil, see no evil when it comes to LeBron James. And you can be the leader of that fan club.
Okay.
But this was the most outrageous yet, because this was 6:41 left. in what had become a terribly meaningless game. If AD and the big penguin, Dre Drum, if they were both out there, you might have me. I might say, okay, you were actually trying to work on your cohesion and your chemistry. I could get that.
Yeah.
But LeBron was out there with a bunch of backups, and they weren't playing the New Orleans Pelicans. They were playing the New Orleans Skeletons. They were the Skeletons because, as you well know, there was no Zion, no Lonzo, no B.I.,
nope,
no Steven Adams,
nope,
no Josh Hart.
Nope.
And at that point, there was no even Jackson Hayes, who's a great young shot blocker, and I thought he had torn his knee up shortly before this.
Yeah.
And fortunately, it came back just some sort of leg contusion, which I was
like it hyperextended.
I don't know, but I was pleasantly shocked because it looked like he looked like he was crying as they carried him off.
He was,
and he did not walk off as LeBron did way back when he first hurt his ankle under his own power. Mm-hmm. So there's virtually nobody left on the floor for the Skeletons, and LeBron is still alone out there as a Lakers starter, and he's front running, he's showboating, he's hot dogging, he's laying it on thick like whipped cream with cherry on top.
He just laid the ball up.
Okay, he did not just lay the ball up. If we could see it one more time, he does a 360 spin layup.
Has he ever done that before?
Well, yes, he has. Okay. But again, is this not dangerous at this point in the game? 360 spin on Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
Right. And
I guess he came down on his foot. I couldn't really see it, that he turned it over, but it didn't look that bad. But then his reaction looked that scary bad because he stayed down for a second. He grimaced. He groaned. He raised it up. He held it, for a second. And he walked very gingerly to the bench. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking it didn't look any better than the first time. We're going to talk about the Solomon Hill play a little later in the show. Mm-hmm. But he walked that one off. Right. And I did watch the post game live on the local Lakers station here in Los Angeles, and they had Anthony Davis on first. And Anthony said, well, I don't think it's too bad because he was walking around in the locker room. Right. So I'm not going to worry about it until he tells me to worry about it. And actually, AD said that the irony was he actually also tweaked his ankle in the game.
It looked like he did. You see him tighten up his feet.
And so now here we go again. AD always dinged. He's always dinged with some way, somehow, right? Yeah. Okay, so help me out here. All we've heard about for weeks on end, at least 6 weeks, is LeBron's ankle. I've been starting to call him La-Ankle. Mm-hmm. And he's out there with nobody, against nobody. It looked like open gym at the YMCA at noontime. Seriously. Mm-hmm. That is as dangerous a time to be playing basketball as you can have, because you're out there with people who might not even be on this team next year for the Skeletons.
Well, he's got to get ready. Skip, let me ask you a question. Now, all last year and coming into this season, you talked about the thing that hurt the Clippers is they didn't have time to play together. Paul George was out, and Kawhi was out, and this one was out, that one was out. You said it hurt them come playoff time because they didn't have a chance to play together. Okay, LeBron James is trying to get a rhythm back after he's been away basically for 8 weeks. He's trying to get his timing, his rhythm back. You criticize that. I remember when LeBron was not playing in regular season games, all you did was criticize him, say Michael Jordan played nine times. He played 82 games. Kobe didn't miss a game. So if LeBron plays, he's front running. If he doesn't play, Kobe and Jordan never missed a game. So how does he win?
Michael was never hurt except for his second year when he broke his leg.
Yes.
But he was never, ever hurt after that, so there was no reason for him to miss games.
Well, he took a year and a half off. What about the year and a half he took off?
Okay, you know and I know what that was.
But did he take it off, Skip?
Okay, but was it because he was hurt?
I'm just asking you a question. His feet were hurt because they said the pressure would get to him. What about the 3 years he took off after the last title? Okay, so he got 5 years break.
Forced into retirement, so that has nothing to do with this, because this is all we've heard about is LeBron came back for Sacramento and Toronto. He missed the last second shot against Sacramento. They got humiliated at home by Toronto. And all of a sudden he says, I can't go. I need more time off. And he takes almost another week off.
He took another week off.
Right?
Yes, he did.
And he comes back on Friday night at Indiana, and I thought they looked great at Indiana. I thought he looked 1,000% at Indiana. And I thought Dre Drum and AD and KC3 and Schroeder, everybody, I thought the chemistry and cohesion looked superlative on Friday night at Indiana.
So in other words, I just want to make sure I'm hearing you straight, correctly. So they looked as good against Indiana as they did to start the season when they started the season 21-6 and they were the number 1 seed. So they looked that good.
They looked healthy. They looked whole. Of course, there was no Sabonis. There was no Brogdon. There was no Miles Turner, but I could go on.
But here's the Skip. Think about it. Schroeder's been in protocol for 2 weeks. LeBron's has played basically 4 games in 8 weeks. AD came back after missing 6 to 8 weeks. And you said they picked right back up where they left off. You know that's impossible.
No, I've seen a lot of teams do it. I've seen the Clippers do it.
No, you didn't.
I've seen the Nets do it all year long.
All you see
they walk out on the floor like they haven't missed a dribble.
Hold on. But you got to realize, didn't the Nets lose like 7 straight games, like 5 straight games? Just recently. They lost like 5 games in a row.
Okay, but every time James Harden steps on the floor, he looks like
so where's James Harden?
James Harden.
Is James Harden faking then? Because he came back, played 1 game, and then he missed another game. So he faking?
Who you got winning these?
I just asked you a simple question.
Who you got winning these? That's the simplest question.
No, but
I got the Nets. I'll bet you got the Nets.
But that's not what we're talking about, Skip.
We're talking about why was LeBron James out there showboating, front running, hot dogging, when his coaches are obviously sitting over there just rolling their eyes thinking, we got to get him out.
Because the guy needs repetitions. This Skip, he needs reps. He hasn't played but 4 games in 8 weeks. 8 weeks. He's the centerpiece. He's the linchpin. He's the guy that makes it go for everybody. If he's off, it does not matter what AD does. It does not matter what Drum does. It does not matter what Schroeder does.
So you realize that there was another game obviously going on simultaneously in Portland, but for some reason that game was going a lot faster than the Skeletons game was going.
Well,
and it was completely over by halftime anyway.
Right.
So there was literally nothing left to play for, right? And they're up 13 at this point already anyway. So if you're just talking about we got to feel good to win our last game of the year, you've already got it in hand. You don't need the king on the court.
So in other words, 13 points. So 13 points. So how many times have we seen teams come back from 20? We just saw the Boston Celtics come back against your San Antonio Spurs when they were down 26. You remember that, Skip Bayless?
Here are the Skeletons left on the court. We talked about Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and Hernan Gomez was out there, and James Johnson, who might be 42 years old, and Kyra Lewis Jr., who I think is still like 19, and James Nunley, and I doubt he'll even be on the team next year. That's who you're up against, and you think that team's going to come back from 13 to beat you?
Hey, I saw the Rockets. You see what the Rockets did to somebody the other day? Or did the Rockets beat somebody the other day? Who did they beat?
They weren't playing anybody. You know why? That's a great point. They did that, and so did the Thunder do it to my Clippers because there was no Kawhi. He wasn't out there risking life and limb. There was no Paul George. There was no Marcus Morris. We can keep going down the line.
Why? Why?
Because they are protecting their players for the last 2 meaningless games that do not matter.
Because they don't want what?
Oh, stop
I would rather see.
We will talk about that in just
you
a
know
moment.
what time it is, Skip Bayless. Don't be slick.
Exactly
you
what
try
time
to be
it is.
slick, but you ain't.
No, I'm not slick. They just said no. We've got 2 fragile players, as you always point out, in Kawhi and Paul George. Why would you risk playing against the Rockets and the Thunder, 2 of the worst teams in basketball, if not the 2 worst teams in basketball?
If you don't mind me asking, so what about the Knicks? Did they play against the Knicks? Did Paul George, did Kawhi, did Rondo, did Pat Bell? I want to know who it is out there against the Knicks.
Okay, and your point is what?
What happened?
They lost.
Oh, they
Knicks
lost.
were on fire.
They lost. The Knicks.
What do I always tell you about 12:30 starts in the Pacific time for the Clippers? They have a notorious history of blowing those games. They do not show up. And if you tell me that all 7 games that they're about to play against whomever in the playoffs, first round against Dallas, if they have to play all 7 of those games at 12:30 Pacific time in their building with nobody there, they can have 11% capacity. They will lose all those games.
You know what this is what I never heard. When LeBron James got injured, or when they lose a game, you never mention anything about the start time. All you talk about is how poorly he played, how poorly the Lakers played. Now the Clippers lose and you talk about a start time.
All I know is if the Lakers can manage to get to the conference finals, they will lose to these Clippers because they're just too good.
You need to worry about
better than your team.
You said that last year. You need to worry about that. I thought it was going to be Kawhi Town. I thought PG with y'all was doing a hostile takeover.
I wanted the Lakers so badly in the first round. I wanted
No, you didn't.
I was on my knees for it.
All you had to do was keep playing.
Yeah.
All you had to do was keep
we
playing.
Just needed it.
Keep playing.
We needed it.
Keep playing.
You guys kept falling and falling.
Keep playing.
And you fell all the way into the play-in game. LeBron James is going to play a one-game play-in against Golden State.
Yeah, he
Can
is.
you believe that?
Yeah.
And I got to believe that his coaches were over there thinking, we got to get him out, except LeBron James pulls himself out of games. He puts himself in games because he is the unofficial head coach of that team. And you cannot tell me I didn't blame on Twitter, Instagram. I did not blame Frank Vogel because he has nothing to do with the choices LeBron makes on in or out of games.
So let me ask you a question. So what choice does Steve Nash have determining how much Kyrie, Kevin Durant, or James Harden play? How much say does he have?
I have no idea.
Exactly. You do.
I haven't watched closely enough to know.
So let me ask you a question.
It hasn't shown itself yet. We'll see.
You and I both know, Skip, superstars have always controlled their minutes. This is not new. Don't make it seem like, see, the problem that I have with people is that they try to make things exclusive to LeBron James. Well, LeBron James didn't want the coach and the coach got fired. There have been other superstars that says either him or me. There have been other superstars that says, I'm going to play when I want to play. And they, okay, I get that. But don't make it exclusive to LeBron to try to make it seem like, oh, LeBron James does whatever he wants. Superstars have always done that.
Okay, so you were admitting that was his choice to be out there, right?
It was the team's choice, Skip. LeBron, listen, I'm sure there have been times that the team says, LeBron, we need you to take a break. And he says, I'll see how I feel. I feel okay. LeBron, shut it down. LeBron wanted to come back. He might have come back a week early because he wanted to see, Skip, the last thing you want to do is that you go 8-9 weeks without playing, and then your first game back on that ankle is a play-in game or a playoff game. That's the last thing you want. So let me see where I am. Damn, I ain't nowhere near where I need to be. I need another week or so. Take that. He comes back. He looks better, but he still doesn't look 100%.
Okay,
to me.
So now it's time for me to allow you to build back in the excuse that was built in for the last 6 weeks. What percent is LeBron's ankle now going into Wednesday night?
Skip, I told you he looks like he's about 85%.
85% says Shannon.
Yes.
Sharpe. 85%. So he has a 15% injury excuse.
No.
Right?
We don't do excuses. If you get the job done, that's what I've been telling you about when Kawhi and them lost, about not wanting to be in the bubble. That's what I've been trying to tell you. I don't allow excuses at Club Shay. Dubs or L's. That's all on my menu.
So after LeBron got swept by Golden State a few years back, he shows up for the post-game interview with some kind of weird brace on his hand, on his shooting hand, like to send the message to the media, I hurt my hand. I think I fractured it hitting the chalkboard after the first game that we blew because I refused to take the last shot.
We can do all that we want to, but you and I both know he could have had a cast on both hands. They were not beating the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors were the superior team. You know that, I know that. See, taking one game off somebody does nothing for me. Maybe that makes you feel good, say, well, he got a game. But if you don't win the series, you've accomplished nothing. Just like LeBron James has never lost in the first round. Well, if he loses, he loses. They ain't got nothing to do with no, I don't base it on injuries. Either you win or you lose. It's as simple as that.
Okay, so here's my prediction. If LeBron and company manage to lose to Golden State on Wednesday night at home, I believe LeBron will come to the postgame interview with his ankle heavily wrapped with ice, and he will put it up on the table.
Well, how many cases do we got on the game?
Well, I've already told, I'm on the record last week. I said this is going to be a rout. That's what I believe.
No.
It's going to be a rout.
Hold on. How you going to say if they lose and they going to say it's going to be a rout in the same breath? You can't, two things cannot be true in this situation.
I'm just saying if they manage. I use the word manage.
No, they don't manage.
Okay.
Well, I want to manage you to give me some cases to do on this.
Well, I thought you thought Golden State was dangerous, right?
Skip, it's one game.
Yeah.
Anything can happen in one game.
Anything can happen.
One
Thank
game.
you.
Yes.
That's why.
But they put 5 cases because I don't believe it happened in this game. I do believe anything can happen, just not this game.
We'll talk about that in just a moment.
You scared.
Shall we? Yeah, a couple cases on it.
Scared.
I'm not scared of you.
Scared like your team tanking, not to see us in the first round.
No mercy.
Well, the Lakers will face the Warriors in the play-in tournament tomorrow. We're used to seeing LeBron and Steph Curry lock horns in the postseason when Curry is 15-7 against LeBron. And when asked about facing Steph in the playoffs again, LeBron said, quote, "We're playing versus, in my opinion, the MVP of our league this year in Steph. We got to be prepared for everything they have. They have championship DNA." So, Shannon, how big a problem are Steph and the Warriors to your Lakers?
This is a dangerous team, Skip, for the simple fact Steph Curry built his legacy, built his reputation on taking down. Remember him in the NCAA tournament, Skip, beating Gonzaga, Georgetown, Wisconsin. He almost pulled off in the Elite Eight, beating Kansas.
He almost did.
So we know what he represents. If you look at him over the last 20 games, Skip, he's been as good as at any point in time in his career. Might be even better than when he was in his back-to-back MVP season, Skip. And the last time he won it unanimous. The scoring run in which he's on and the way he's shooting the ball, he's basically, you got to pick him up at half court. Because if you don't, he'll walk into a 35, 40-foot three-point shot. And once he see a couple go in early, you got your night cut out for you for the rest of the night. And so this is what they represent. Draymond is playing extremely well as the point, whatever you want to call him, point center, point forward, point guard, whatever you want to call him. He's doing unbelievable. He might be the first guy in a very long time, Skip, to average more assists than points. And that just goes to show you how he is the engine. He's the driving force because he's playing lights out defense on one end. He's getting them into their sets on the other end. So he's been invaluable this year. And I'm glad to see Draymond have a bounce back season. He's nicked last year. No Clay being out, Steph being out, all those games. And so Draymond gets an opportunity to get one of his sidekicks back and say, hey, let's go to work, fellas. Skip, this is a dangerous team. The Lakers know what they represent. Steph is not the only one that can get hot from three. They got Toscano Anderson and they got Jordan Poole. They got some guys, Andrew Wiggins, Skip. Every once in a while, he'll stick his head above the water and drop 35, 40 on you. So this is a very dangerous team. The Lakers know they're going to have to guard. And what happens is, Skip, a lot of times they get offensive rebounds. You're scrambling. Once you start to scramble, you're out of position. Now, what does that mean? Steph Curry is going to be probably wide open for a 28, 25-foot three-point shot. Somebody's going to be wide open. So they're going to have to man the boards. They're going to have to be spot on. Because I don't really know how much now, Skip, teams are really practicing. You're going to do a lot of this through film study. But this is a dangerous, dangerous team. Steph Curry is playing with extreme confidence right now. He feels he can do no wrong. He feels that there's not a shot that he can't take and make. And when you're playing someone that has that kind of confidence, they see a couple of shots go in early, and it's good night, Irene. So the Lakers have their work cut out for them. I expect them to play one of their better ball games in order to win this ball game. But this, I think, when the NBA, I don't necessarily knew if they thought they were going to get a matchup like this, Skip, for the first play in 7-8. You get the Lakers on one end with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and then you get the 8 seed and Steph Curry, a two-time MVP. I don't think that's what they thought they would get, but they couldn't be more happier that they got this matchup because now the playoff really gets started. So the Warriors, Skip, you remember, the Lakers had the Warriors down by 14 in the fourth. And Steph Curry and them guys shot up the shot right back into the ball game. The Lakers made sure that didn't happen the next time they played. But this is going to be, I think the game will be closer than what you think, but I do think the Lakers pull away late.
So, for the NBA's sake, I love the marquee matchup of a play-in game featuring the King versus the quote-unquote MVP.
The chef.
The chef. LeBron, though, embarrassed me and embarrassed himself and embarrassed the league by trying to campaign for Steph being MVP. Like, what are you doing? You're just trying to butter him up. No, you got to face it.
Skip, you know how LeBron feels about him. You remember in the finals before KD got there, they asked LeBron, how do you stop Steph Curry? He's like, how do you stop Steph? The same way you stop me. You can't. So he's always had praise. Remember, he was at Davidson? Who showed up to watch him play in the NCAA tournament? So he had the utmost respect. You always do that. Why that man
Wait a second. Remember when Brian Windhorst, who knows LeBron just about as well as anybody in the media, was reporting that he resented the fact that Steph Curry won back-to-back MVPs, that he thought at least he should have won one of those two, right?
Yeah, he probably thought he should have won one of James Harden's or one of KD. It happens, Skip. Just because I think I deserve to win something doesn't mean I dislike you for winning something.
Remember when he resented Steph because he thought Steph was more beloved than LeBron, because Steph is more relatable, because he's more average sized at 6'3", and he looks like he's about 5'11" on the court compared to everybody else? Am I right?
Skip, first of all, you and I both know this king is the king. He's the face of the NBA. You know that. We go all over the world. We
no
go to China,
jealousy,
Thailand.
no resentment of anybody,
Skip,
right?
you always try to do that. Stop it.
It used to be operating just below the surface between those two, and Steph continued to get the best of LeBron, even though Steph didn't play huge in those matchups when they matched up in the finals, because Iguodala won the first MVP, then KD won the next two MVPs. Am I right?
Yes.
And to my point, Steph has never really come up MVP big in postseason. He's had too many disaster games, and one of those stretch of disasters allowed LeBron to win a championship in 2016 when they were 3-1 down. And look at what Steph didn't do in games 5, 6, and 7. Two of those games were at home, and in the fourth quarters of those 3 games, 2 of them at home, Steph was 3 of 12 from 3 with 7 assists to 12 turnovers. He was just horrendous. And in game 7 in the fourth quarter, he shot, for the whole game, he shot 6 of 19, 1 of 6 from 3, and he was 1 of 5 from 3 in the fourth quarter of game 7 at home. He allowed LeBron back into that series.
Well, you say he didn't play well in the playoffs? Ask the OKC Thunder. When they had him down 3-1, did he play well? Go ask the Portland Trailblazers in 2016 when he came back off that knee injury and he dropped 40 on their head. Ask them, does he play well in the playoffs?
Well, I'm talking about the finals.
Well, it ain't the finals.
Go ask the Toronto team what happened in 2019, because they broke through and won a championship, probably their first and their last as a franchise. And in games 4 and 6 at Oracle, at home, Steph Curry was horrendous in those games. He was 2 of 9 from 3 in the first game and 3 of 11 from 3 in the second game, game 6, and he missed the last second shot. A good, clean, open look to win the game. Yeah. So that's the guy who you're trusting to come up big in a one-game playoff against LeBron at Staples. And I am not seeing it, because as much as I love on paper the matchup, on the court, I think it's a mismatch.
Skip, if you want to nitpick and take games, I can take every bad game that Jordan played and highlight it and say, see, well, he's not as clutch as you think. But that's what you did. You took basically every bad game that Steph Curry has played, even though he's probably played 75 or 100. You took the 6 in which he's played bad and said, see, he's not clutch. But I can show you the other 90 games that which he's played well in the playoffs and say he absolutely is clutch.
I just showed you 4 finals games at Oracle when he was the opposite of clutch.
Okay, what about the Western Conference Finals when they was down 3-1 to OKC?
Okay, all right, that's pre-finals.
Skip, this is pre-finals.
And that was about Westbrook versus Durant versus Westbrook versus Durant. They were just going back and forth. They crumbled, and Kevin said, I can't win with him. I got to get out of here. I got to join forces with those guys.
But Skip, you can't make it about when someone else lose, make it about their frailties. At some point in time, you got to give the other team credit. They did something to make you succumb to the pressure.
Okay, so here's what's going to happen tomorrow night at Staples. It's Steph or bust for Golden State.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And the Lakers are a very good defensive team. In fact, they finished number 1 in defense efficiency, and I don't know how. Because the last 20-odd games, they were not great on defense. I got to tell you. Not great.
Hold on. So what does the rating say? See, you love Pro Football Focus. When Pro Football Focus throws you a stat, you take it to your bank. Well, the NBA's defensive efficiency rating says the Lakers at 105 are the best.
Okay, so I'm going to give you that. And the point is that they have so many players that they can sick on Steph Curry, and they will sick them all.
Yeah.
Listen,
we started with Schroeder.
Frank Vogel is no fool, and Jason Kidd is definitely nobody's fool.
Yeah.
And right as we speak right now, they are designing defenses.
We're listening.
Okay, you're going to be all over him. You might triple team him.
Yep.
You're going to force the ball out of his hands or force him to try something that will be absurd, like a 35-foot 3.
Yeah, guess what? It's called ABS. Anybody but Steph.
Okay, thank you. That's exactly what's going to happen. And you have plenty of defenders. Start with Schroeder, KCP, LeBron,
No, we can put LeBron on.
You can occasionally. You can double with LeBron.
Probably, what you call him, Caruso. Caruso will probably, get some of that.
And Wesley Matthews.
Wesley Matthews, yeah.
Okay. You got so many options to bother Steph Curry. You know what he's going to do? It's going to be another 2 for 14 from 3 night for Steph Curry.
That's what you got to do, Skip.
Who else is going to beat you? Kelly Oubre? He's out. Who else? Andrew Wiggins? You love him? You scared of him?
He comes and goes. Jordan Poole showed the other night, Skip. He went and got 30.
Kent Bazemore, you love him?
No.
I just don't. I'm sorry. They don't have Eric Pascal. They don't have Damian Lee. They don't have Big James Wiseman, their rookie center. They just don't have enough.
You got to hurt them inside, Skip. Okay. You got to clean them up on the boards. This is a game where Drummond needs to have somewhere between 15 and 20 rebounds.
Okay.
AD needs to get double-figure rebounds.
I respect Kevon Looney, and he'll defend. Yeah. And listen, Draymond, to your point, I read a stat this morning that nobody has allowed a lower percentage of shots at the rim than Draymond. Yeah. So he's not linked. He doesn't have linked or leaping ability.
Yeah, right. He ain't blocking shots like Gobert.
No,
but
he's blocking them with his head.
Yeah.
Like with his savvy.
He get the ball on the way up. He does a lot of I watched him the other night, Skip. He blocked the shot. The guy, he gets it on the way up. He knocks the ball off your knee. He's better than you think. And when he challenges Skip, he goes straight up. Because, like you said, he's not Rudy Gobert. He's not Joel Embiid.
No.
So he doesn't have that.
6, maybe 7?
Yeah, right.
Maybe?
Right. He doesn't have that kind of length. But he plays with his mind.
Plays with his mind. Okay, so it shocked me this morning when I read they're 5th in defensive efficiency. So they're actually better on defense than they are on offense. Right. They rank 18th I'm sorry, 19th in offensive efficiency. That's not very good.
Well, Skip, shooting that many threes a game from that kind of distance, you're not going to be very efficient.
Okay, so here's why it was pathetic for LeBron to try to make Steph's MVP case. Okay, so they squeezed in as the 8th seed. That's what they would have been with no play-in, right?
Right.
Okay, that's some achievement, but that's not MVP achievement.
No.
And just for the record, Steph Curry for his career has averaged 43.3% from 3. That's extraordinary. This year he shot 42.1, so he was more than a point below his career average from 3 in percentage. Well, what are we talking about here?
Well, I think the thing is, Skip, is a lot of that has to do with being alongside Clay and not facing the continuous amount of double teams that he normally get. So he was a lot of forcing up some shots, but he had to do that, Skip, because like you said, who else is I'm counting on? Kelly Oubre, Andrew Wiggins, Kent Bazemore. I get all those guys, and they have some nice pieces that on a given night, but Steph Curry knew he had to be Chef Steph on a nightly basis in order for them to have a chance to win.
Okay. I'm going to quickly run through Steph's poor shooting games from 3 this year, just to give you some perspective on how bad he often was from 3. And this is what's going to happen tomorrow night at Staples once again. I'm going to go in order. 1 for 6. These are games that he shot poorly in. 1 for 6, 1 for 8, 1 for 10, 1 for 11, another 1 for 11, 2 of 10, and another 2 of 10, 2 of 14, 3 of 13, and 6 of 16. So he is highly capable of having one of those
10 games, right?
Those Russell Westbrook Memorial, I can't hit the side of a barn game.
That was 10 games? How many games was that you listed off?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And guess what, Skip? You know what I did? I checked because I had a feeling you would do that. Steph Curry also has 10 games in which he shot made at least 10 threes.
Okay.
Nobody else in the NBA history can match that. Okay. He did that in the season.
Okay, you think it's going to happen tomorrow night?
Just like he's capable of throwing one of those games he's more than capable of having one of these type games.
With 3 Lakers draped all over him?
Well, we're going to blitz him. We already got the blitz. We covered at him like the 85 Bears and the 2000 Ravens. We blitzing. We trapping him. We getting the ball out of his hands.
Okay. And who's going to beat you? Nobody else.
Well, that ain't got nothing to do with me.
Okay. Maybe they will defend you at a high level. Maybe ankle will have a little problem with his ankle, and after the game he'll be saying, who stiffened up on me at halftime. I don't know.
Who going to defend AD?
I don't know. Kevon Looney? Draymond, probably. Draymond.
Okay, well, who gonna deal with Big Drum? You know Big Drum? Huh? Big Drum been waiting on a moment like this to show you what he can do.
Dre Drum, yep. Here's what's going to happen. I believe your Lakers will win by at least 20 points in this game.
Oh, my God. You bad luck.
Huh?
You bad luck.
No,
you
I'm not.
Rock.
So,
you're trying to put bad vibes on it.
If you want to make a bet, I'm willing to give you the visiting team, and I'll give you a bunch of points. I'll give you 15 points in the visitors.
Skip, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to burn the money. You trying to get, no, we're not going to do that. I'm not going to fall into the little trap. Oh, they're going to win. And then you can come out here Thursday and talk about LeBron. See, I told you, Michael Jordan would have never lied. I'm not finna do that with you. I'm not finna go back because I already know what you're trying to do. You're trying to set me up for failure.
No,
but we're going to win this game.
It's just a mismatch. I said it last week. I saw it coming, and I told you there is no way if Steph has a 2 for 14 from 3 that this will even be close.
Well, Skip, you have to realize Steph is basically by himself. Now, if you're talking about, let's just say the Brooklyn Nets, KD can have a 2 or 14, but he got Kyrie that's probably going to go 11 or 20. He got James Harden that's going to probably go 9 of 18, so he can get away with that. They can't get away because he's it. So when you're the only guy, you're the only it. You can't. It's harder for you to have a bad game and your team to overcome it, as opposed to having a team full of guys that has that capability to overcome a bad performance from one of those guys. So you're right. If Steph Curry goes, because I think that the other night he was like 2 for 11, but Damian Lee had 30. Well, you can offset that. Do you believe Damian? No, not Damian. Yeah.
No, he's out.
No, what's the Jordan? Yeah. Jordan Poole.
Yes.
You believe Poole's going to have another night like that?
No, I do not.
So
congratulations, Shannon Sharpe.
There you go. No.
Congrats
You
already.
are the 7 seed, and you are about to play the Phoenix Suns in a 7-game series in the first round. Yeah, we'll see.
And do they want to see us? Nobody want to see us.
A lot of people
think Chris Paul should have been the MVP.
Believes the Lakers will get this one. They're favored by 4.5 at this point. So
that's it, 4.5. You talk about 15.
Okay, well, you want them? I'll give them to
you.
you.
I ain't betting against my team.
Not right now? Okay, well, we have to talk about Skip's team now. Of the 6 teams to secure an outright playoff berth in the Western Conference, the Clippers were the only team that finished below 500 in the final 10 games of the season, including losses to lottery teams like the Rockets and Thunder. This has led to speculation that the Clippers tanked down the stretch in hopes of avoiding an early crosstown playoff matchup with LeBron and the Lakers. But you could argue that the Clips should want to play them early rather than later in the playoffs while LeBron is rusty, and come early June, he could be at 100%. So, Shannon, did the Clippers tank their last 2 games to avoid the Lakers in the first round?
Well, they tanked their last 2 games to either avoid the Lakers or the Trailblazers. They didn't want to see any one of those teams. They would rather have faced the Dallas Mavericks. Let's be real. They got the Dallas Mavericks last year without Porzingis, and we'll see what Porzingis brings if he can stay healthy, because we know Luka's going to get Luka's numbers. But, Skip, they did what they did. You saw what they did. We know, everybody knows what they did. It's hard for me to believe that Kawhi and Paul George couldn't go to T. Lue and say, T. Lue, we need some rhythm. We need timing. We need to be hitting on all cylinders going to the playoffs. And T. Lue say, nah, we good. Because Skip Bayless and everybody told me the reason last year why they succumbed to being in the bubble, they didn't play enough together. They pad this stat. When Pat Bell, Paul George, and Kawhi play together, they're unbeatable until everybody started beating the brakes off them. And they told me, Kawhi is load managing. How many 20-point games Kawhi had in the last 10, 15 games? Not many.
I think it's 1 in 20.
What?
Yeah, they got no chance now.
What about Paul?
They're dead in the water.
What about playoff P? How he looking? Oh, so it would have become clear to me that considering what Kawhi had been doing over the last 20 games, seemed like he needed to play to me. That would have seemed like to me with my eyes. Paul George, we already know what Paul PG is. I'm waiting to see in the playoffs.
Pandemic P, right?
Yeah, you saw it. Way off P, whatever you want to call him, Skip Bayless backboard P, because you know he's known to hit the side of the backboard. And they complain about everything. But that's okay. Sometimes a man can make his destiny on the very road he took to avoid it.
Grandmother, grandfather.
Your day coming, Skip Bayless.
One of them said it.
I told you. Your day
Maybe
coming.
it was Confucius who said that.
Your day.
Maybe it was Gandhi. I don't remember.
Your day is coming. You tried to avoid us, but destiny, you know what destiny is? It's by Skip, the unavoidable.
So I want you on record. You are declaring right here, right now, live on national TV,
We're going to beat the brakes off you, we see
the Clippers tanked to avoid the Lakers in the first round. Is that what you're saying?
Tank. Yes, they did, and you know they did.
This is the biggest bunch of hocus pocus, phony baloney I have ever heard in all my years covering the NBA, dating back to the years I covered the Lakers for the LA Times here in Los Angeles in the middle 1970s.
Yeah, you didn't cover
I've
them
never
bums.
heard anything like this before. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard played plenty of games together. They are winding down and gearing up for the playoffs, and it was strictly about saving them from themselves. They have both been fragile. I'll be the first to admit it. And for the last two games against bad teams, you don't want the worst thing to happen, which is one of those two comes up gimpy going into the first round of the playoffs.
Have you seen Kawhi against good teams? Have you seen him?
You're about to see him against good teams for the next 2 months. And he will outlast your team because I'm just hoping against hope that he gets your team in the conference finals.
I want that so
because
bad.
they are going to beat the brakes off, the stuffing out of, the you-know-what out of your team in the conference finals.
You look real big, Skip.
I badly wanted your team in the first round because
No, you didn't.
obviously
No, you
if
didn't.
you're quote-unquote afraid of the Lakers, ankle and company, if you're really afraid of them, you want them early, you don't want them late.
Exactly.
You want them in the first round, and you do not try to tank out of their way in the last two games.
Skip.
You do everything in your power to get them in the first round, to meet them head on
Skip.
at 100 miles an hour in round number one. That's the only way to deal with the team you're afraid of.
Let me tell you what, Skip. This is what you were hoping. You're hoping someone else can do what you can't do. So this big notion, and let me explain this to the people at home. Everybody say to beat a man, you got to beat the man. Nah, hell no, I don't. If I can beat the man that beat the man that's 10 times removed from the man, I'll take that. I just want to be the champ.
Okay, so here's what happens in the first game, which was on Friday night at Rockets. Rockets are a bad team. They almost beat your team at home the other night without ankle. But what are you going to do? Yeah, they almost beat them. It came down to the wire with these Rockets. But all that mattered in this game on Friday night at Houston was that a guy named Serge Ibaka came back. He actually came back from the quote-unquote basketball dead. I didn't even think he was going to show his face. After missing 30 games, he came in and he played a grand total of 17 minutes against the Rockets and had 15.7 rebounds and 4 assists. And I said, welcome back, Serge.
Skip.
Now, look at the three-headed monster. Serge, Big Zoo, he used to be a Laker, and another former Laker, DeMarcus Cousins. All three of them. We got a 300-headed post monster coming after you. What would these three do to the big penguin? They'll turn him into a little waddling penguin.
No.
He'll play like he's 6 feet 2 inches tall.
And we still got Gasol. You see Gasol coming there and be passing that ball, be dishing that
the
thing
guy
out.
that you've been all over all year. You've got no use for him, and suddenly you like him? Really?
Because Big Drum put that pressure on him.
Oh,
made
Big
him play
Drum.
above. Yeah. And see, we've been resting Big Trez. We've been resting Trez.
And the other thing that happened on Friday night at Houston,
What?
This little man who's not much more than 6 feet tall named Rondo. Playoff Rondo emerged at Houston against the Rockets and had 13 assists in this game. And I said, thank you. Welcome to Clipperville, because L.A. is about to be Clipperville because we have Rondo and you don't have Rondo. We have a quarterback who's going to save us in key, crucial playoff games, and you do not. Your unsung MVP in the bubble was playoff Rondo.
You see what you just did, Skip? You heaping praise on Rondo for getting 13 assists against the Rockets, yet you criticize LeBron James for playing the Skeletons.
No.
Now I'm trying to figure the difference.
Okay.
So where is James Harden? Where is Eric Gordon? Where is Chris Paul? Where is Elijah Wan for the Rockets? They're not there. But you just hyped Rondo for beating the Rockets, the duds. Excuse me? When have they lifted off?
And by the way, our 11th man, Luke Kennard, he scored
Terrible.
23 in that game. And I'm like, thank you, because we'll need a few of those buckets in crucial moments in second halves in big playoff games.
Empty
Thank
calories.
you very much.
Empty calories. When is that last time you saw Luke Kennard signing when they really needed him? Empty calories.
So I want to understand here, at Oklahoma City, they tanked against the Thunder by what? So they sat the whole team down before the game, and they said, look, try to miss shots because we are tanking. You don't think that would get out in this day and age? You don't think one disgruntled Clipper at some point would say, we were told to miss shots in this game?
No. How about, hey, Marcus Morris, Kawhi, Paul George, all you guys are not playing. That's how you tank, Skip Bayless. You know how you tank.
So the Clippers on Sunday night at Oklahoma City. He had 8 guys in double figures. Is that good? That's pretty great. And Terrence Mann, who's emerged as a force coming off the bench for this team, he had 19 in that game. Is that tanking to you?
Okay, let me ask you a question. Which one of those guys in double figure was named was Kawhi Leonard or Marcus Morris?
Well, I told you, they're going to rest. They're going to save.
George.
So ankle tweaks his ankle because he's out there showboating and doing whipped cream with cherry on top, 360 spins on layups. What are you doing?
That's his move.
Oh, that's
his move.
Okay,
you know that. Everybody knows that.
Lord have mercy. So do you think that the memo reached a kid named Alexei Pokachevsky? He's from Serbia, and he's 19, and he looks like he's 12 years old. If we could see a picture of him. This kid, that guy, Ernestine's sitting with me. We're watching the game. She said, he's in the NBA? How did he get in the NBA? Yeah. He should be playing the YMCA, right?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, he's in church league, and they went and got him in a church league, and they just brought him in to play the game.
Okay.
Would you believe he's 7 feet tall, and he made 6 of 9 threes, including a step back with 48 seconds left to put the home team ahead? Did he get the memo that the Clippers are tanking?
No,
who would know that Pokachevsky is going to make 6 of 9 threes at 12 years of age? He's 12 years old. He's playing the NBA.
You see what you did there? You see what you tried to do there? Now, you know good and well the opposing team is going to play as hard as they possibly can. I'm not talking about anybody else tanking but your team. Let's not make this about OKC. Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that. I'm talking about, so in other words, you had 8 guys that was injured. Okay, you know what? I'm going to give you Paul George and Kawhi. So you had 6 other guys that were injured.
No, they're just protecting.
Okay, thank you.
Because we're ready. We're ready. We're whole. We're completely whole. We got Serge back. I didn't think we'd have Serge back.
That's what happened, Skip. Remember the NBA? That's what they used to do. They used to tank, right? Teams were healthy.
For draft picks?
Yes!
Oh, okay.
So, but you did this for positioning. You didn't want to see GOAT James, or you didn't want to see the Blazers. And so while everybody's focused on, the play-in, Golden State's the 8, LeBron might be the 7, play in, you forgot to look to your left and see a team in L.A. tanking. They're supposed to be Hollywood. Where's Kawhi with the drop top? With the Kings crowd in his rear view? Where PG up there to talk about he playoff P?
You're going to see that commercial more than you like when the Clippers are playing in the finals.
It's outdated.
It will run every other commercial from the great shoe company New Balance. What do you call them? Orthopedics?
Yeah, the orthopedics. You know what time it is.
You're going to see those Kawhis. You're going to see Kawhi playing the piano. You're going to see all of it in the finals when they're playing and beating the Nets.
All I remember is that the introduction press conference, Steve Ballmer came in there like a drum major. Boom, 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 boom. And then and Doc Rivers had up 2-1-3. The 2-1-3. The 2-1-3 is here. I'm here to win a championship. Paul George talking about, it's playoff for Buzz. Now he's singing a different tune. Well, if we don't make it, hey, we only been together for a year. Nah, bruh. Don't bump your gums now. Stand on what you stood on before. It's championship or bust. You talk about you playoff P. Well, I want to see it.
Well, you're about to. And I will be the first to admit I did fear Portland in the first game.
I know you did.
The hottest team in the league.
I know you did.
And somehow they tied with Dallas in record. They actually beat Dallas 2 out of 3 games. And Dallas gets the seed because Dallas won the Southwest Division? I didn't even know there was a Southwest Division.
I don't know anything about division.
Have we ever referred to the Southwest Division on this show in its history?
The divisions in basketball don't mean anything.
I forgot there was a division, but because they won it, they get the edge.
Right.
So now the Clippers get to play Dallas instead of Portland.
Right.
And Portland's won 10 out of 12. They should have won the game on, was it Thursday night? Remember the game against Phoenix?
Oh, yeah.
And Robert Covington has 2 free throws just to ice the game, and he missed both of them with 5 seconds left, and Booker goes down and gets fouled and makes those 2. And that's one of the 2 games they lost. They've won 10 of their last 12. They're going to be a handful, and we do not have to face them. Denver does.
I guarantee you, had Covington made those 2 free throws, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard plays to get up out that 4 spot. I bet you they would have done that then.
No.
Yeah, they would have got up out that 4 spot because now I want to be the 3 seed because I can get Dallas at the 6 seed. You think you're slick,
we are now using the famous or infamous quote from one LeBron James. We don't care about seeds. It could be the 8th seed, the 7th seed, or a mustard seed, as you always say. It could be a mustard seed, and we're happy with it because mustard seeds grow into big trees, and we're about to grow into the biggest tree in the NBA.
Hey, Skip.
Yep.
Which two of those guys would you rather have?
Which rest of the roster would you rather have? That one on the right or that one on the left? I'll take the one on the right every dime.
Hold on.
Good point.
Would you rather have Ty Lue or Frank Vogel?
I'll go vote. He got the same amount of championship. He got the same amount of championship. That's what my guy do.
Congratulations.
What my guy do, my guy was giving a lot of guys their first championship.
Yeah.
No mercy.
So after going number 1 in the 2001 NBA draft, Kwame Brown never lived up to the expectations of a top pick, but he stuck around in the league until 2013. Former NBA players Gilbert Arenas, Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson were critical of Brown's career on a recent podcast, leading Kwame to release a statement of his own back at them on his YouTube channel. Take a listen.
Their entire life to get to a point to where most men only dream about. I think you guys need to focus and channel that energy on some more real problems. So y'all miss me with all that. Whichever one of you paying you to come at me, this here one, you better go find you something better to do.
Shannon, what is your reaction to Kwame's thoughts?
Skip, I'm going to keep it on the court. All that other stuff, when they got personal, that's a little bit too much for me, and I don't want to partake into that. They said what they said. I wish it would have never got to that. You want to critique someone's play, critique someone's play. I agree with what, Skip, I think Kwame has some very valid points, Skip. And I think the thing is, Jordan's style worked really well with grown men. But that's not what he was getting with Kwame. He was getting a 17-year-old kid, straight out of high school kid, Skip. And for me, I don't understand. That would be the equivalent of Fox hiring me 5 years ago. And my boss is telling me, man, you ain't nothing. You tell me, we about to go off the air. With you, I don't even know why we fired you. I wish I could get rid of you. If you constantly beat someone's confidence down, Skip, he's 17. That's not a 25-year-old. He's 17. It was reported one of the reasons Abe Polian, rest his soul, fired Michael Jordan. He did not like the way he talked to the players. He did not like the way he treated the players. He felt it was unnecessary. He says, you know what? I'm the one person you can't talk to any kind of way. I control the reins. You're up out of here. I do, Skip, I'm not saying that Kwame Brown maybe would not have been an all-NBA or an all-star. But I believe had Jordan not beat his confidence down so much, it doesn't matter, Skip. We've seen it. Some people you can beat an animal's confidence down, be a dog or whatever the case may be, and then someone else gets the dog and lifts him up, and it's a different animal. Well, I believe if somebody else would have gotten Kwame Brown, Kwame would have been a different animal. I'm not saying he's going to be all NBA. I'm not going to say he's going to be Shaq or anything of that nature, Skip. But he already had pressure. The first high school player ever selected +1 overall. Immense pressure coming out of high school. I was in Baltimore, Skip, when they took this kid in 2001, #1 overall. And plus because they had Jordan also, everybody was flocking on the team. Going to see, man, I ain't going. I got to rest. I got to play football. So, Skip, I do believe Kwame would have been a better player had he not gone to Jordan first. And Jordan hadn't beat his confidence down, because that's what Jordan did. Jordan beat a lot of guys' confidence down, and he was saying they wanted Elton Brand. They really drafted me to trade to the Bulls for Elton Brand. Abe Polian vetoed the trade. I believe there's some validity to that, Skip. It's hard for me to get. I don't know why Mike would do this. Why would you select the guy and then beat him down in the process when you're going to need the guy to help you win? But that's the thing about leadership, Skip, is that the thing that you got to understand, what can I say to get the best out of him? Do I need to kick him in the butt? Do I need to praise him? Do I need to put my arm around him? Do I need to tell him a joke? What is it? And the really good leaders, be it coaches or whatever, military, whatever it is, Skip, you find that because you can't coach everybody. You can't lead everybody the same because everybody isn't the same. But I think Kwame Brown has a lot of valid points in what he's saying. He's right, Skip, as terms of life being where he came from Glenn Academy. Brunswick, Georgia, which is about 90 minutes from south of where I grew up, down 95.
From Charleston, South Carolina.
He went to school. He went to high school in Glenn Academy. I know exactly where it is. I believe he would have been better. Maybe he's 10-5. Maybe he's 13-8. But I believe he'd have had a much better career if his career didn't start with Michael Jordan. That's just me personally.
I co-sign what you just said. Now back to your original statement, you didn't love the personal shots.
Right.
Obviously, Kwame chose to take the lowest road, not even a middle ground road. Yeah. And he got deeply, seriously personal with his shots.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give him a pass for that, because this man suffered the way very few players have suffered. Mm-hmm. He became everybody's favorite target.
He did. He was
for years and years. He was a punchline in this league. Do you know how hard it is to live with that? I don't know that I've ever seen Kwame Brown speak in public until this.
I have not. I've never heard him talk either, Skip.
And I liked him. I liked him a lot.
Yeah.
I thought he was sometimes unintentionally funny, but he was insightful.
Right.
He knew what he was talking about.
Right.
I started thinking maybe you should do a podcast, because I would watch.
Yeah.
I would listen.
Yeah.
I would. He's interesting to me, and he really knows what of he spoke.
Right.
So, look, we know Steven Jackson.
Yeah.
Have him on the show occasionally. We know Matt Barnes. Have him on the show occasionally. We like him.
Yes.
But obviously, there's, if I can paraphrase the old biblical expression about be careful about throwing stones if you live in a glass house.
Right.
Well, obviously, those two plus Gilbert, they've occasionally lived in a glass house. We get that.
Right.
So you can throw those stones back, and he threw them back as hard as he could and maybe broke a little glass.
Right.
Okay, now back to his point. He was not what you would classify as a bust. He played 12 years in the National Basketball Association. That's pretty great. Yeah. As he said, I was able to buy my mom a house on a golf course. He did, right out of high school at what was 17. He bought his mother a home on the golf course. Good for him.
Yes.
And he didn't score a lot of points or average a lot of rebounds, but he
6 and 5.
But he did play in 18 playoff games, and in those playoff games, he averaged 9 and 6, which is respectable to me.
Right.
He played alongside some pretty good players. One, the late great Kobe Bryant.
Right. And it wasn't like Skip, they was running the offense through him.
No.
It was so basically we throw you a lob and you get it and put it back and dunk it.
Okay, so what do I always tell you about my guy, Michael Jeffrey Jordan? To me, he is unquestionably the greatest player ever. You disagree, but I stand by what I say. And yet, he is also proven to be the worst picker of talent in the history of this league as the owner and operator of the Charlotte franchise. He's just been pathetic, because I can't even begin to defend it. In 14 years, going into this, before this playoffs, in the 14 previous years he's owned and operated, he's made 3 playoff appearances. Twice they got swept. Once they took the Heat to 7 games in 2016, but they lost that. So he's 0 for 3 in his 3 playoff series, and he's 3 and 12 overall in the playoffs as the owner and operator. Right. And then, yes, he chose Kwame #1 overall, but it wasn't a great draft to start with. Right. Tyson Chandler went second, Powell went third, and that would have been the pick, right? Took him a little while to get going in Memphis, but once Jerry West got a hold of him,
and paired it with Kobe.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And I don't know because Kobe was so much like Michael, I don't think it going to Kobe first would have been better. He did probably the ideal situation if you want to go to a superstar, probably LeBron. Because LeBron, if you listen to everybody say the way LeBron and Kobe's style of leadership is very different. One guy is praising you, say, hey, hey, we're going to be positive. And the other guy's like, hey, get the effing job done or else.
That is correct.
And that's how Jordan was, Skip. He beat him down so much. He's like, am I doing anything right? Now, I don't know what his practice habits was, Skip. I don't know what he did off the court. I can't speak to that because I wasn't there. But all I can say is this. At some point in time, a child can only take so much.
I got it. But when we're talking busts, let's talk about the 06 draft. Michael Jordan took 3rd overall, Adam Morrison.
Yeah.
You can look it up. I said before the draft, can't play.
Michael Kidd-Gilchrist.
Okay, that's another one. But
he's 2nd overall.
He took him over Dame and Bradley Beal.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go back to Kimba. He took Kimba over Clay and Kawhi. I don't know about that. Took Cody Zeller over Giannis. No. Noah Vonleh over Zach LaVine. Probably not. And then Frank Kaminsky over Devin Bush. I'm sorry,
Booker.
Devin Booker. I'm sorry. Got the Pittsburgh Steelers on my mind. But over Devin Booker is no good.
Right.
It's like swing and miss, big swing and miss.
Right.
But again, Kwame in that draft, Joe Johnson went 10th, Zach Randolph went 19th, and my guy Tony Parker went bottom of the first round.
Back then, Skip, people were still taking bigs.
It was taking bigs.
Every once in a while, you got an Allen Iverson, Skip, that you took #1 overall as a guard.
Yep.
But more times than not, then, Skip, you were still, the guy was 6'11", 250, was agile, could run up and down the court.
I got him at 270. I think that's what he weighed coming out of high school.
Yeah, so, Skip, I mean, it wasn't like they were loaded like you had a choice between you chose him over Shaq, or you chose him over Anthony Davis, Skip, or you chose him over some other big. That wasn't the case. Now, it's like when people criticize the Trailblazers for taking Sam Bowie over Jordan. But, Skip, at the time, they already had a small. They need, and you're like, well, Bobby Knight said, well, hey, take him and play him. So we need a center, Bobby. Bobby Knight told him, say, well, take Jordan and play him at center.
Yeah.
We knew Elijah Wan was going first. Elijah Wan, and you can't debate. You say, well, you see what Jordan turned out, but Elijah Wan was legit. So you can make the case, okay, Portland probably should have gone. But, Skip, there was no other Michael Jordan in his draft.
Nope.
So it wasn't like, oh, man, y'all passed on him. And even though I think Powell was Rookie of the Year, Skip, Powell didn't come Powell until they paired him with Kobe, and they started winning championships.
Yep. I happened to talk to Michael Jordan the night before this draft, and he told me he was leaning toward the kid. Well, I didn't know anything about I hadn't even seen the kid play because at that point, and what was that, 2001, you couldn't even find any YouTube. There was no YouTube.
It wasn't like it. The high school scene burst on the scene with LeBron. Now, all of a sudden, these high school games getting televised, Skip. LeBron's on every week. He's on the cover of Sports Illustrated. So I knew about the kid because I'm from Georgia. That's the only reason I knew about him.
So Michael attached his pride to this kid at 17. Well, you know what's going to happen to the kid once he steps on the practice floor with Michael Jordan. You got to live up to me picking you first overall. And it was terrifying for this kid.
But, Skip, that's like me. I'm playing, here I am, I'm 30 years of age. I'm playing my son, and I'm dominating the backyard. You ain't gonna never be nothing. You can't beat me. You know what? I don't even know what I've been thinking about playing you. Skip, how that's gonna, come on. Jordan, you Jordan.
Yeah.
You need to talk to him. Pick him up. Uplift him. Once you see that, okay, that's enough. Got him beat him down enough. Let me pick him up now. But
he didn't pout and go home. He stayed around for 12 seasons.
Yeah.
Okay? You got to give him some credit for that.
Yeah, well, hey, he busted and stayed around for 12 years. I don't believe Kwame Brown. Kwame will tell you he didn't have the career that he thought he would have or he had hoped to have. But I think a lot of that had to do, Skip, it's not how you go, it's where you go. And that's what I tell guys in football, Skip. Y'all man, I want to be a first rounder. Okay, you be a first rounder, you go somewhere that don't know how to use your skill set. I'm 192. In the 7th round. Tom Brady, 199 in the 6th round. He went somewhere that let him mature, gave him an opportunity. And all those guys that went before Tom Brady, Skip, where'd he end up at? All those receivers and tight end that went before Shannon Sharpe, where'd he at, Skip? That's it. And let that be a lesson, people. It's not how high you go. It's what you do once you get there and where you go. So I'm sorry that it had to get so personal. I wish they could have, Kwame could have stayed away from that because it brought up a lot of, but Skip, at some point in time, a man is not going to let you keep attacking his name.
That is correct. He finally stood up and said, that's enough.
You back any element into a corner, and he like, okay, but soon he going to come out.
Sure.
He going to come out that corner now. Now, you might not like what he does to you on his way out, but you forced him there.
Yep, I agree.
No mercy.
Despite having only one scoring title, LeBron has averaged 25 points per game for 17 straight seasons. And one day after 33-year-old Steph Curry became the oldest scoring champ since 34-year-old Michael Jordan, LeBron took to social media to tell people, to claim people often overlook his production for another stat. He tweeted his own scoring accomplishment and said this: since I was 19 years old, and I'm a pass-first guy, always been. That's why I'm never mentioned with the greats of scoring, huh? That's perfect, because I'd rather keep it that way. So, Shannon, is it necessary for LeBron to defend his ability to score?
Only if it was necessary for Michael Jordan to release the Last Dance documentary to highlight how great he was. and he released it, and he gave him permission on the day the Cavaliers celebrated their parade. If it was okay for him to do it, this is okay for LeBron. Because he doesn't get, because when you talk about scores, the first name come to mind, Jordan, Kobe, KD. But none of them have done this. 25 points for, first of all, 12 season is where the cutoff is where the cutoff is. LeBron has done 17 straight. That's what he's done. Now, guys of the top 5 scorers, Skip, they average at least 7 assists in a season. Jordan has 1. Wilt has 2. Bayless has none. Jerry West has 4. KD has 0. LeBron James has done that 12 times. 12! So when we hear scorers, Skip, most of the time, scorers are not asked to do anything but put the ball into the basket. And so we don't look at LeBron at doing that at a high level, even though he has more 40-point games than Kevin Durant. He has more 50-point games than Kevin Durant. Yet, people say, and he shoots a higher percentage. So how can, if I have more 40-point games, 50-point games, shoot a higher percentage from the field than you, how can you be more efficient than me? How can you be a better scorer than me? Now, KD is decimal points. Jerry West is decimal points higher in scoring average. LeBron, I think, is 27. KD's like 27.2. I think Jerry West is 27.1. So you see, Skip, they're right there. But when you tack in a rebounding, you see, Jordan could score, but he had Rodman to rebound. He had Scottie Pippen to assist. Kobe had Powell, had Shaq to rebound, had Derek Fisher to assist. LeBron James doesn't have that luxury. LeBron, I need you to assist. I need you to go give me 30 also. But, hey, while you at it, while you give me those 8 to 10 assists, can you also give me 9 to 12 rebounds? Sure thing. So for me, Skip, I do not have a problem with this, because sometimes you have to put your resume out, because, Skip, they don't see it. They forget. You hear the, score. LeBron can score, but scoring has not ever been the only thing that he was concerned with, and they put so much on his plate. I believe Steph Curry became one of the oldest scoring champs, Skip, because he's like, well, hell, I got to have something to show for this season. I'm going for it. He went for it. He got it. I got no problem with that. But they don't ask Steph to do what they ask LeBron to do, because Draymond does that. Draymond facilitates the offense. Draymond gets the rebounds. So I don't have a problem with what LeBron did, because just like you didn't have a problem with the Last Dance documentary, when all it was a montage to show just how great Jordan was. Am I correct?
No, it was the inside story of a GM and an owner who were going to run off a legendary head coach, and Jordan had dug in and said, he goes, I go, and he did. He walked right out the door.
Well, why I need to see all that? Why I need to see
that had never been reported like that.
Well, we know it was. But let me ask you a question, Skip. Well, why do we need to see all those footage, all that footage of those last-second shots? If it's about the GM and the owner that's running me off, you don't need to see no footage of me. I can just tell you the story. Oh.
Well, when the story was over, the world sat back and said, he's the GOAT. That's all they said. It was game over for LeBron James.
How? I'm trying to figure out, how can someone believe that this man is the GOAT when he's telling a story about the GM and the owner running him off?
All I know is, what is LeBron talking about when he says, I'm never mentioned as one of the great scorers?
He's not.
That's all he's ever mentioned.
No, he's not, Skip.
Are
no, he's
you
not.
kidding me?
No.
He's about to pass Karl Malone to become the second highest scorer in the history of this league. And at some point, he will pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and become the first scorer. Because he will play 20 years, much longer than Michael played. And
whose fault is that? See, you hold that against LeBron. For some reason, you hold LeBron, his ability to stay in peak level condition. Jordan chose to do what he did. Why do you fault LeBron for Jordan transgressions?
It's a new time. It's a new day. People understand, see Tom Brady, how to play quarterback at age 44 at a Super Bowl level.
But But you know what I noticed? You never mentioned when Tom Brady mentioned he has 7 rings. And when he's looking up at that thing 7, where was he at, Jenny? Was he in Dubai? Was he in Qatar? And he's looking up at 7. You didn't say you had a problem with that. When he mentioned 7 rings, you don't have a problem with that. But LeBron mentioned his greatness, you have a problem with it. Why?
No, I don't have a problem. It's just like, yeah, you're mentioned as a top scorer. I get this.
No, they're
yes,
not.
he is. You're about to pass the 2 greatest scorers ever. What are you talking about?
Skip, that's the point.
Stop it.
That's the
You know what this was? This was a backdoor, backhanded, backslap. LeBron saying, look how great I am through the back door because, I'm not a great scorer. I am a great scorer. Baloney, everybody thinks you're a great scorer.
Let me ask you a question. When people mention their top 5 scorers of all times, how many times is LeBron James in there? The only guy that I've heard say that.
He's in there every time because he's the number 3 on the list.
No. It's KD. It's Kobe. It's Jordan. It's all these guys. They talk about Tracy McGrady. They talk about all these guys. That's what's so amazing. Here's a guy that's sitting number 3 on the all-time scoring list. But when you think about top scorers, he's never thought of. He doesn't not the first one to come to your mind. Why not?
The first one?
Why not?
Well, Jordan's the first one because he won 10 scoring titles. LeBron's 1. So that's game over right there.
But see, that's the thing. Jordan was about scoring. LeBron James was always asked to do more than score. So he just couldn't just focus on scoring. Just imagine if LeBron had a Shaq and he says, okay, all I got to do is just score. Shaq go get the rebounds and do all that. That would have been a different ball game.
Timeout.
But he never had to play with that.
Last year in the bubble, I watched LeBron benefit from having one of the greatest point guards in the history of this game alongside named Playoff Rondo. He had him in the bubble, and Rondo made so many big shots and big plays down the stretch of so many big finals games.
I'm not trying to minimize anybody. All I'm saying is that you look at LeBron's body of work.
Did he not have Anthony Davis?
Yes.
Who's been the PER prince of this league for years?
Skip, this is his first time having a guy like AD. He had D-Wade. He got D-Wade in year 10? But he's never had
Chris
a Shaq
Bosh
in his
looks like he's going into the Hall of Fame next year. Wow.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Okay, Shaq in his prime, Anthony Davis, or D-Wade. Who you want? Shaq in his prime.
Well, you're talking about the greatest offensive force ever.
Okay, Skip, that's all I'm saying.
Okay. LeBron's right up there in offensive force because he is simply the greatest freight train driver of the basketball I have ever seen. Nobody can keep LeBron from the rim, especially the skeletons the other night.
But Skip,
nobody can keep him from the rim.
Think about that.
What's amazing is he's averaged 25 a game for 17 years.
17!
And he's a lousy shooter. That's what's scary about it is he's a lousy three-point shooter. He's even worse free throw shooter, and he's done this because he can drive the basketball like nobody.
If you don't mind me asking, if he's a lousy shooter and he's shooting 50% from the floor, what's Kevin Durant? Who's shooting less than that?
Well, Kevin Durant's a mid-range, deadly jump shooter.
Well, hold on, Skip. So if I shoot from 15 feet, you should lay the ball up and dunk. How many points you get? How many points do I get?
LeBron's a great scorer. You're making my case. I got it. You're right.
Skip, I know, Skip. You're preaching to the choir. I need you to give this to the congregation. I know what LeBron represents. I followed his career from its entirety. I'm talking about other people that when you mention great scorers, he doesn't get the credit that he deserves because that's not all that he does is score. 17 straight seasons of 25 points or more says that he's a great scorer.
Yeah.
But you don't hear that when they talk about KD.
Everybody says it. Everybody says it. In a vacuum, would you rather have KD taking the last shot or LeBron? I'll take KD. Jordan or LeBron? I'll take Jordan.
But here's the thing. Every time I hear people say great scores, Skip, nobody mentions. Richard Jefferson was the first said that LeBron is the greatest scorer, considering the consistency and the level in which he's produced. But for me, Skip, they talk about Jordan, and Jordan was a prolific scorer. But when you look at 17 straight seasons, you look at KD, even though KD is a great scorer, I'm not saying KD isn't because he is an all-time great. But KD's greatest assist season is 5.9. That's also LeBron's lowest as his rookie year.
Okay, but for Kevin Durant, 6 assists a game, that's pretty great.
We do that, Skip. That's the fewest assists we've ever had.
He's a point guard. He was a natural-born point guard. He's still the best passer in basketball, and he's the best driver of the basketball.
Say that. He's all those things and a great scorer.
So he used this to take a shot at Jordan again to try.
Well, they don't Skip.
Yeah.
Stop.
Okay. Well, look what he did here. I got 17 straight, and then he goes, no 16s, no 15, no 14, no 13. Who did he list first at 12? Jordan.
Skip.
Okay, so what happened to Michael's career?
Go.
Let's look at it in context, shall we? Because he played 13 seasons as a Chicago Bull.
Right.
And he should have averaged 25 plus for 13 seasons, but he broke his leg in his second season and he averaged 23 because he only played like 11 games.
What do you want me to do with that, Skip?
Okay, well, he would have obviously averaged 30 that year if he had played the whole season.
Okay.
He might have averaged 35.
Okay, you know what, Skip Bayless? You know what? I'm going to give you that. I'm going to say, just for the sake of argument, for the discussion you and I have, Jordan averaged 25. Now, go ahead. Keep it going.
Yep.
Now, what? So that gives him 13.
He played 13 seasons. Then he said, I quit.
Okay.
If you're going to run off my coach, I quit.
Okay.
And he walked into the sunset in Chicago. I was there.
Okay.
And he stayed gone for 3 whole years.
Okay.
And then he came back as a ceremonial player in Washington at age 38 and 39 in lousy shape.
But you know what I'm going to do?
Lousy shape.
But you know what, Skip? Just because it's you, I'm going to give him the 2 years that he stepped away from the game. I'm going to give him 25 in those. That'll make it 15.
Okay.
He still can't see go with 17 straight.
So
even though I conceded and gave you 3 years.
I told you LeBron has been, up to this point, the most durable superstar ever. So he's lasted into year 18. That's phenomenal. And yet, he's now ankle, and he's built in an excuse. He's got a bum ankle.
Even with that bum ankle, how many points did he average? How many? 17. 25 points for 17 straight seasons. And guess what it's going to be next year?
He's going to pass
18.
Green. He's going to do it.
Yep. I'm glad you finally come to that. I'm glad you come to your senses.
Yep.
Took you a while, but you got there. You arrive at a destination. That's all I'm getting there. I mean, you told Trolls to take Greyhound.
LeBron is lucky he doesn't break his arm trying to pat himself on the back.
I found that a little
You know
bizarre.
what? That's what my granddad used to tell me all the time. He said, boy, you don't need somebody to tell you how great you are. You got 2 damn hands. Pat yourself on the back. And I do it all the time. Don't go, James, and me, we do it.
Maybe you gave him the advice, Shannon.
No mercy.
8 of the Cowboys' 11 draft picks came on the defensive side of the ball, and only 1 offensive skill player, Simi Fehoko. The 6'4" receiver out of Stanford was drafted in the 5th round, and Fehoko told Clarence Hill Jr. that Dak texted him a couple minutes after he was drafted, saying, quote, "Get ready to work. We're about to go light up the league." After signing a 4-year, $160 million contract extension this offseason, expectations are high for Dak and the Cowboys. So, Shannon, are you surprised Dak would text this to a 5th pick guy?
Yeah.
5th round pick guy.
Consider, hell, he might not even be there on the team for them to light it up. I wanted Dak to text him, hey, bro, we about to win some games, so get ready. Hold up, last year, Dak played 5 games. He's 1-3. He got hurt in the 5th game. Were they lighting it up, Skip? I want Dak to do some of this without them empty calories. I want them to be ahead and he throws for 400. Not when they down by 22 and he throws for 400 and they lose. And Skip Bayless come out here on a Monday and talk about my guy is a warrior. He fought to the bitter end. The end result was the same thing. Casualty. Yes, y'all terrible. You're going to be terrible again. And again, let me reiterate for those that didn't hear me last week. The Dallas Cowboys will not win the NFC East. They will finish 3rd in that division. And while you up here talking about lighting the scoreboard up, how about win some games? But you know what? People are gullible by nature. You know why? And there's no fan base more gullible than the Dallas Cowboys. You know why, Skip? Because Jerry Jones and players on that team come out every year. This is going to be our year. And those gullible, naive fans run out and buy all that paraphernalia. Super Bowl, baby. Have the little trophies made of tinfoil. Super Bowl, we're going to the Super Bowl. Cowboys, look at all the number 1. No, you're not. You're not going anywhere anytime soon. And I need you and you to tell your fan base to get that out of their heads. They're not going to the Super Bowl. So when you repeat that for me, we're not going to the Super Bowl. Say it with me. We're not going to the Super Bowl. Because you're not.
Tell me when it's my turn.
It's your turn, and your team terrible.
if my rookies could play as big as they already talk, then we just might shock Tom Brady in the NFC Championship game and play the Cleveland Browns in the Super Bowl.
Oh, really?
We just might.
Oh, yeah.
If they could just live up to all this blah, 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 blah. I've never heard a rookie class talk so much, probably since your rookie class. Right?
Well, they get it from Jerry. Thank your owner for that, Skip.
Micah Parsons already talks like he's the best player on the defense, and you know what? He probably is.
He might be.
He just might be. And then my second rounder. My second rounder is known as Boss Man Fat, and he's made 6 rap albums. His name is Kelvin Joseph, and he's got a lot of talent, but boy, he talks a big game at cornerback.
He got more rap albums than interceptions.
He does, and let's hope that changes quickly. Then let's go to my third pick in the third round, Nashawn Wright out of Oregon State. He has already said publicly that he's a more agile, athletic Richard Sherman. Then he says he actually reached out to Sherm just to make sure Sherm was okay and understood why he was saying that.
No.
And he says that Sherm was cool with him. Well, the only reason Sherm is cool with that is because Sherm would also like to be a Dallas Cowboy and play for his former coordinator, Dan Quinn.
I don't know if he noticed this, but Sherm probably going to end up in Canton one day.
Probably he will. Which brings me to this young man. And Simi Fehoko played at Stanford, and he's 6'4", 220.
Yeah.
And reportedly at his pro day, he timed 4.37. I watched a couple of Stanford games just because I want to watch Davis Mills, because Davis Mills can play a little bit. Looks like he might be the starting quarterback for the Texans this year. I got to tell you that Fehoko never caught my eye one time because I don't think he plays nearly as fast as he times.
Right.
So the point,
how fast you say he ran?
4.37. That's what they said at 6'4", 220. So you said, wow.
He gonna be the fastest guy working at Goldman Sachs.
He might be. He just might be. I'm sure he's a smart young man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I got it.
Goldman Sachs.
So I'm going to reread this quote here again. He says, Dak texted me a couple of minutes after I was drafted, just telling me, quote, get ready to work. We're about to go light up the league. Timeout. You're telling me that my quarterback, who now has the highest signing bonus and the most guaranteed money in the history of the National Football League, stooped to text the 5th round pick in this draft, the 5th round pick, and say, hey, get ready because I need you to help me light up the league. I already have 3 receivers capable of going over 1,000 yards, and we know who those 3 are. And CeeDee Lamb was the prize of the draft for me a year ago, and Amari's still there, and Michael Gallup's still there. And remember, Blake Jarwin, whom Dak calls the best athlete on the team, I hope is back full speed after he tore up his knee. And maybe he's not Shannon Jarwin, but he's a pretty good Blake Jarwin.
Schultz played well.
And I agree. Another Stanford kid played very well. So Dalton Schultz. So the point is, there's only one football, and I'm not sure that Simi's going to catch many of those football that one football gets thrown to.
Yeah, the other guy from Coming to America, that was Eddie Burke.
I got it.
That was his homeboy. But Skip, look at it. I got some numbers for you, Skip. Do you realize that 88% of Dak's yards came last year when the Cowboys were losing?
What have I been telling you?
47% came when they were down by 2 scores.
Okay. All right. I got it. Now, he did bring them all the way back to beat Dan Quinn's Atlanta team that had the 5th worst pass defense in the history of the league.
That's your DC now.
40-39 after we were down, 29-10 at halftime. We were way down
and
starting
39-20 at one point.
Whew. And we came back against that team. And not only do we take the man who oversaw that defense as our new coordinator, he was the head coach, obviously, in Atlanta, but we took Keanu Neal and DeMonte Kazee off that defense. The 2 safeties, quote unquote, not so safe safeties, we took them in free agency.
But you know what? But I tell you what will happen. Your offense will have a lot of confidence going against that defense. They're going to think, they like, whoo, we about to light it up. Now your defense just bad. Because that's the defense you're going to practice against.
Okay, if we had taken Patrick Surtain because your Denver Broncos hadn't stolen him 1 pick before we picked at 10, if this were Patrick Surtain, he would probably be saying next to nothing
he won't
right
say
now.
anything. No, he's not a talker.
You know what? He would probably make his first Pro Bowl next year. He would be in the competition for Defensive Rookie of the Year next year. And he would proceed to make, I don't know, 10 or 12, I'm going to knock on wood for his health, but 10 or 12 Pro Bowls the rest of his career because that's who he is.
Yeah, no, he's not a talker.
That's who his father raised him to be as a Pro Bowl cornerback himself. Patrick Sr. Okay, so that's what I don't have now. I've got Kelvin Joseph, and I've got
See-me.
Fihoki, you know.
See-me.
I know. This is what I got. And now, because they gave him number 81, he's saying, get your popcorn ready because he's got TOs over there.
He's T.O. now.
He's T.O. Okay, and he's also reaching out to Des Bryant, which is always a bad sign to me because there's only one Des, and
he want to wear 88?
Well, no, he just wants to be 88, you know? Like he's already wearing 81.
I thought CD, I forgot. You got to put it in. So CD might put in to change the number 2 next year.
To 2.
To 2 next year because you would have to buy, remember I told you, Skip, you'd have to buy all the inventory of all the 88s with Lamb on the back.
Yeah.
That could be 50 grand. Nah.
Okay.
I just wait till next year. Get it.
Okay. So I've never heard a bigger talking class of rookies for a worse team than this.
What about your owner? Have you ever heard of a more talking owner than your owner?
Nope.
Okay, then. So
not in the history of the National Football League no owner's ever had his own radio gig every week, right?
Exactly.
In fact, Jerry has 2 radio gigs.
2 radio gigs. And now Steven got one.
He's got one because he is Jerry Jr. now.
So, I mean, y'all gonna talk a good game. Y'all gonna talk about the game.
We talk great, and it sells tickets.
Yes.
And by the way, my stadium might be wide open by September. This is going to have 100,000.
Well, they just had 73 for a box. Canelo's box is back, so you know they about to come September. They about to put 100,000 in there.
I was just watching a golf tournament over the weekend in Dallas, and boy, there are a whole lot of people out there without masks on.
Yes, yeah. Y'all talk a good game. I don't know if you're going to win. You won't win many games, but you're going to talk a lot of them.
Well, we'll win the East, but that's by default.
Y'all ain't winning no East.
Yep.
We already got 5 cases on that. Y'all not winning the East.
And I won 5 more cases. Thank you.
No mercy.
Despite ending the regular season on a 5-game winning streak, the Lakers will face the Warriors in the play-in tournament tomorrow. Lakers fans had a brief scare in the fourth quarter of Sunday's win over the Pelicans when LeBron appeared to re-injure his right ankle and was slow to get up. But after the game, LeBron said, quote, "It was a tweak. I stepped on Nickeil Alexander-Walker's foot on the way down after that last layup, but I'm fine." Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard joins us now. Chris, any problem with LeBron still in the game that late, and how will it affect them moving forward here?
Jen, no problem whatsoever with LeBron playing that late in the game. Look, he's 36 years old. Maybe at 26 or 31, he would have been able to come back from 2 months off and just take off where he left off. But at 36, I think he needs more ramp-up time to get himself in his rhythm and get used to playing again at the NBA speed. So I think he needed to be out there. He'd only played 3 games in the last 2 months. And obviously the first 2 he came back, he wasn't himself. So he also needed to get some time on the floor with Andre Drummond. They've played like 3 games together, and LeBron has not had a lot of experience throughout his career really playing with guys that could do something on the low block, big 7-footers that like to play down there. So I thought it was fine for LeBron to be out there on the court. I look at it in those situations like, look, if you get hurt, if you coming back from injury, we play you and you get hurt, it can show, if you re-injure yourself, it can show either the injury was not ready and you shouldn't have come back, or you were just going to get hurt anyway. I mean, that's how at some point you have to play. And the Lakers have to prepare themselves for the playoffs, prepare themselves for this play-in game tonight. So I had no problem with LeBron playing. And I'll say this, I thought he looked great. I thought he had burst. He obviously got to the basket when he wanted to. He was up in the air. He looked much better in that game than he did the 2 games he played a few weeks ago. His timing was back on his passes and everything. I thought he looked really good. And look, if LeBron and AD play every playoff game, there's no one in the West that can mess with them. The Suns, congratulations. You had a nice regular season. But Devin Booker, as great as he is, DeAndre Ayton, in their first time ever in the playoffs, They're not beating LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Utah, congratulations. You had a nice regular season. You'll get some regular season awards and love. But they got injury problems of their own. And even if they didn't, they're not beating the Lakers with LeBron James. And the Clippers, Skip, the Clippers just keep disappointing me. Now they coming down with a case of yellow fever, and they trying to avoid the Lakers. Show some dang backbone. You got to beat them at some point. It's probably better to catch them in the first round when LeBron and AD are still inching back to 100%. You get them in the conference finals, they're going to be about as much at 100% as they can be in this season. So, look, if LeBron and AD are healthy, I think they win the West.
Go. Go. I need to get you out of the way so I can get back to him.
Yeah, well, Chris basically just co-signed a lot of what I said because I felt that LeBron needed the timing also, Chris. But considering this is only his fourth game, 4 games in 8 weeks, in 2 months, that's not nearly enough. Hell, I would have liked to see Drummond and AD on the court with him so they could all get some rhythm together. And you're right. You look at what he's been able to do since he's gotten back, and you look at Big Drum. Drum is giving you 13, 15, 19 boards a night, Skip, which I told you. Oh, the big penguin. You had all these jokes, telling your little stand, little one-liner, your little monologue going. But now the Big Drum.
He's Kareem Abdul-Drummond.
Yeah.
You got me.
He been on a force. And you'll see tomorrow night. Watch what he do. I can see right now, I'm thinking 15 and 17.
You know, he can miss those 1 foot wide open layups like nobody I've ever seen before. LeBron's going to love that.
Hey. It's coming. But I didn't have a problem with it either, Chris, because I felt that he needed his timing, and I agree with you. When you get older, it's harder for you to jump right back into a routine. When you're young, your body snaps back, and you're just able to go and pick right up where you left off. As you start to age, you need a little more time to get back into a rhythm. And I thought he looked better against the Pelicans than he did against Indy. And we saw what he did against Indy, went on that 7-0 that scoring streak by himself. You saw that, Skip? So that just lets you know it won't be long now.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Back to my friend Chris Broussard. Speaking of being disappointed, I am so disappointed in you because I truly anticipated you would side with me on this. I think you do deep down. You guys are going to be in the good graces today with Rich Paul and Maverick Carter. Way to go. Congratulations. Hi, Rich. Hi, Randy. Hi, Mav. Love you all. But I'm going to tell the truth. There is no way that LeBron James had any business being in this game at that time with 6:30 left. Everything had become totally meaningless. It was over. In Portland, it was way over. Portland had crushed Denver, crushed your hopes of avoiding the play-in. You were crushing. It wasn't the New Orleans Pelicans you were crushing. It was the New Orleans Skeletons. There's nobody left, including poor Jackson Hayes, who had just gotten hurt in what had become like noontime open court at the YMCA kind of a game. It was highly dangerous. And poor Jackson Hayes, he was crying as they carried him off the floor. And I guess he's going to be okay. I think it was only a leg contusion instead of a bad knee injury that would have obviously ended this season and maybe taken out next season. But I'm looking at the Skeletons and I'm saying, yeah, Nickeil Alexander-Walker was still out there, but Hernan Gomez and James Johnson and Kyra Lewis Jr. and somebody named James Nunnally were on the floor. And do you think that Alexander-Walker can defend LeBron James while he's front-running, showboating, and hot-dogging, a little dipsy-do? He puts a 360 spin on Nickeil Alexander-Walker and elbows him right in the face. He about cold-cocked him. Look at it. If you watch, he just smacked him right in the face. He goes to the other end. Here he goes. Let's do a 360. I'm feeling real good about myself, and he smashed him right in the face. Way to go. And allegedly, he stepped on his foot. I can't even see the step on the foot. I'm not even sure about that. And all of a sudden, here we go again, and he limps to the bench. He limps and has rebuilt in the excuse of, like Shannon's calling him 85% on the ankle now. So he tweaked it again. It's only 85. So he's got a 15% excuse going forward, just in case the Suns give them some trouble in the first round, because Chris Paul's playing at a high level.
But guess what, Chris? But you know what he's doing? He's setting it up for. When the Lakers beat the Suns, I'd never had any confidence in the Suns anyway. Look at DeAndre Ayton. What has he ever won? Devin Booker, this was his first chance in the playoffs. So you already know what's coming, Chris, just like with everybody. Because last year, it was about rhythm. It was about routine. The Clippers didn't spend enough time together. Paul George was in there. Kawhi was load managing, and Patrick Beverly. They didn't play enough together.
Were AD and the big penguin out there with him with 6.5 minutes left at New Orleans? No, they weren't. He's out there showboating by himself.
Well, what you call him had tweaked his ankle. Didn't AD tell you he tweaked his ankle?
Tweaked his ankle.
Then, so he needed to go to the bench.
Well,
but anyway,
he's AD, always dinged,
well,
right?
There you go. He got all these one-liners today.
No, I'm just telling you, he is. That's what he is.
He don't watch his front-running Clippers tank the season away, and so now he feeling good.
The season away? We wanted the Lakers so badly in round one. If you're going to get them now. Stop it. Yeah, we protected our players who are 100% healthy as opposed to ankle, who's limping back to the bench. Way to go.
I know you, Skip. I know there is no way you are happy with what the Clippers did this weekend.
I was totally happy. Did you see what happened on Friday night? Did you see? Serge Ibaka finally came back after 30 games, and he went 15-7 in 17 minutes. I said, thank you, God, we got Serge back. We got our big three-headed monster in the post that's going to give you nothing but big penguin problems.
Serge can't see him.
Oh, Serge, and how about Big Zoo? How about DeMarcus Cousins? I got all three of them healthy and happy.
Well, we're going to foul them out because somebody got to guard AD. Who guarding AD?
Just name it. We got all kinds of. We can put Paul George on him. We can put Kawhi on him. We can put anybody on him. We got more deep defenders than you can even think about.
Okay. We're going to find out. We're going to find out here shortly,
I'm glad you mentioned the post, Skip, because look, and the Clippers are a big team, and I got to give Boogie credit. Boogie has looked much better than I expected. I didn't think Boogie give him anything. He's played well. But the Lakers have something that really only the Clippers can deal with in terms of their size. And Shannon and I were talking before the segment. If the Lakers, like LeBron, can control tempo, LeBron's big himself. And you saw in the game Sunday, early on, he was going inside, whether it was backing guys down, driving into the paint, or cutting to get layups. Like, he was playing inside. Then AD took his turn and went inside. Obviously, you got Drummond there. The Lakers can slow it down and play big, and then we know they defend terrifically. To me, that's their formula, especially if they get to the finals and meet a team like the Nets. That could be a formula against anybody else in the West. The Clippers have size to match up with them, but none of those big guys can deal with AD. And so I think I like the Lakers size better than I like the Clippers size.
Okay, let's go little here. How about this? Also on Friday night, very quietly as my Clippers were tanking.
Yep.
Playoff Rondo got 13 assists in that game. And I'm saying, yeah, I'll take that because you don't have Rondo. We have Rondo. He will settle us down. He will quarterback us through any low, tough points that we go through like we did in games 5, 6, and 7 against Denver.
Hold on. He got those against the Rockets. You know anybody? The only person I know on the Rockets team is Kmart's son. Junior played well because he got
those
like
same Rockets nearly beat you 2 nights before. Nearly beat you at Staples.
Hold on.
What are you talking about?
But hold on. The Knicks that we beat without Gold James beat you guys with a healthy your whole team. Skip, you do realize y'all lost like 7 or 8 games down the stretch of your 10.
Hey, I love the Clippers. The Clippers are deeper than you. We have Rondo. You don't. And we will see you in the conference finals if you get there. I'm not sure you're going to get there because you got ankle. He's tweaked it again because he was showboating in a game that the coaches clearly did not want him playing in. But he said, I'm in this game.
I brought some binoculars because I'm looking for Kawhi. Have you seen him? Have you seen him? Chris, have you seen Kawhi?
You'll see him soon enough.
Yeah, I had to buy some binoculars looking for him.
Chris, thank you for weighing in. We're wrapping this up.
No mercy.
Sunday, the best NASCAR season ever continues as the Cup Series makes its long-awaited debut at Circuit of the Americas road course in Austin, Texas. The green flag drops at 2:30 Eastern only on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Get this, veteran journeyman Brian Hoyer is back for another stint with the Patriots. He will be the fourth quarterback under contract with New England, joining incumbent starter Cam Newton, third-year backup Jarrett Stidham, and first-round rookie Mac Jones on the depth chart. Shannon, what does this mean for Cam?
Man, Brian Hoyer, you got to be a cat. That joke got 9. Man, that joke got 100. He got more than 9 lives, Skip. That joke they can't get rid of him.
Everywhere.
This means nothing for Cam because Coach Belichick has said Cam is the starter unless someone plays better than him. Now, Jarrett Stidham needs to be worried because, Skip, remember, that it was Steady. He loves some Steady, and all of a sudden, Steady didn't start. Even when Cam got COVID and missed the game, Steady didn't start.
Nope.
So I think it poses more of a threat for Steady than it does Cam. They drafted Mac Jones with the 15th pick. They re-signed Cam. They re-signed Brian Hoyer. So if I'm Jarrett Stidham, I'm a lot more concerned than I am Cam Newton. Cam, I don't believe Cam is going anywhere unless Mac Jones blows their socks off. Just comes in and is Peyton Manning. Picking up this system and navigating things, Cam starts the season.
Yeah, who was your favorite of the top 5 quarterbacks in the draft?
Oh,
it was Mac Jones by far and away, correct?
Yeah.
Shannon, I think you're looking at this upside down. This cannot be good news for Cam Newton. To me, I was shocked that they brought Brian Hoyer back, and it can only mean that Bill Belichick got his first look over the weekend, last 3 days, at Mac Jones in Foxborough, up close and personal, where you can actually see him on your practice field. And he loved what he saw, to the point that he reached back out to Brian Hoyer and said, I need you to come in and be the backup here and the big brother to Mac Jones.
No.
Because Cam doesn't play football the way Mac Jones plays football. They can't relate to each other.
But here's the thing, Skip. Tom Brady put pressure on Coach Belichick by going and winning the Super Bowl.
I got it.
He doesn't have the luxury of starting a rookie and all of a sudden missing the playoffs again. Cam
What
gives
would
him the
please
best
Bill Belichick more, winning with Cam or beating Tom Brady with the next Tom Brady, Mac Jones? That's what would please him the most.
But here's the thing, Skip. Yes, he would like to win with Mac Jones because that was the guy that he drafted.
Yep.
But he doesn't have that time. Brady has already left him and got married and happy. On the honeymoon. Brady's still on the honeymoon while you still in misery. You ain't found nobody that you can really date yet.
Help me out. How do you install an offense for Cam Newton for the first 5 or 6 games and then suddenly switch it midstream to an offense for Mac Jones? It's pretty hard to do on the fly.
Well, I just think the thing is, Skip, is that Cam can throw the football. I think it's just like what they did with Coach, when they had Tom Brady, they had Garoppolo, and they had Jacoby Brissett. All 3 of these guys' skill set was different. Give Josh McDaniels credit. He's a hell of an offensive coordinator. He's a terrible head coach, but he's a great OC. And so I think he'll find ways that, okay, this is what Cam really does well. This is what Mac is more prototypical, drop back Tom Brady. Cam is more mobile. You move the pocket a lot more, although you can move the pocket with Mac Jones because he shows some athleticism. I believe this is concerning for Jarrett Stidham, not Cam Newton.
I do not. I think he will hang on to Jarrett Stidham because his pride is wrapped up in Stidham.
It's too late now. It's already done, Skip.
He's going to hang on to him as the developmental third quarterback. He needs Brian Hoyer, who would be a much better fit as the backup to Mac Jones than Cam would be. Cam's not a backup quarterback.
No, that's why Cam's going to start the season and get him off to this roaring start. Because he got to be there where they beat the brakes off your guy. We already got due on that.
On my guy?
Yeah.
My guy has cost you 94 cases of Diet Mountain Dew.
But he gonna give it back to me this year.
Not.
He gonna give me somebody back this year.
This is bad news for Cam Newton.
It ain't bad news.
Watch.
It's bad news for you.
Well,
when
you
Cam
love Mac Jones, so you're mixed emotions?
No, I ain't got no mixed emotions.
Yeah.
I just need Cam in there and do what he normally does to a Brady-led team like he's always done.
Okay.
Win.
And then hand the ball off to Mac Jones,
That might come at some point in time during the season.
No mercy. Tonight, the Celtics will face the Wizards at TD Garden. Washington seemed lottery-bound for most of the season until Russell Westbrook recaptured his MVP-level form and helped the Wizards win 17 of their last 23 games. With Boston's Jaylen Brown out for the season after undergoing wrist surgery, Washington will have 2 of the 3 best players in the matchup in Westbrook and banged-up All-Star Bradley Beal. So, Shannon, what shot do you give Russ and the Wizards tonight at Boston?
I give them a great shot. These are 2 teams going in 2 different directions, Skip. Wizards have won 15 of 20, and the Celtics have lost 10 of 15. And unless Jason Tatum comes out and throws up a 50-piece, Russell Westbrook is not going to be denied. And if Bradley Beal hamstring, that's going to be contingent his hamstring. If his hamstring can hold up, I would put my money on the Wizards to beat the Celtics, Skip.
I have got the Wizards winning unless Bradley Beal just cannot go.
Right.
This would be must-see TV for me because it's going to be Russell Westbrook against Marcus Smart, knockdown, drag out, tooth and nail. It's going to be physical. It's going to be scrappy. It's going to be trash talky. And I believe Russ has been on an all-time tear and will tear it up at Boston.
And we thought their season was over because Skip, remember his quad? He had a quad injury. He missed. They started the season 6-17. In the last 39 games, Russ has gone bonkers. He's averaged a triple-double, 11 points. 11 assists, 11 rebounds. For a 6'3" guard with a triple-double, with 22 points on top of that. Yeah, I got Russ. I got Russ going for a big triple-double tonight. Big one.
So count me in for this play-in. I'm loving these plays.
Yeah, I'm going Russ. I got Russ, stat line, 24, not efficient, 24, 14, and 17.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You
I'll buy
like the
that.
plans over there. Okay, I'm looking forward to seeing what Russ has to do. Things are getting very interesting. Skip, Shannon, great stuff today. We're back at the same time tomorrow morning. The Herd is on now with Colin and Joy. Have a great day, guys.